Retail has been through a lot in the last year, not just because of what's going on in the world and closures, but there are some big changes making it harder and harder to do retail. Now, we still have what are called big box stores for specific industries, sporting goods, hardware, even bookstores, although they're kind of a dying breed as well. One thing, though, that we don't seem to be able to support are toy stores. And I'm not talking about, a small mom and pop store. I'm talking about the big, giant toy stores like your big hardware stores and sporting goods stores that sell nothing but toys, that are just a wonderland. Now, all of this wonderlandness of toy stores started in 1760 with William Hamley, where he started a store in London that was called Noah's Ark, meaning it was, full of everything. Eventually, the store just became Hamley's and the Noah's Ark concept was dropped, but it was miles of toys. It lasted. In fact, it's still around. It became essentially almost a national landmark as far as both the world's very first toy store and the fact that it's survived for 250 years. I mean, that's, a long time for a retailer to be in business. I wonder if you could still get stock in them. Well, while Hamleys started off the concept of selling toys and only toys, they weren't the only one, and there were others that quickly followed suit. The store is still around. You can still go to Hamleys in London now. It obviously looks a lot different than it did back in the day. And in fact, it actually has even branched out to more than just toys now, and it's been bought up by different business interests. It's not, with the original family at all. But it is still there, and you can visit it, and, it's a big part of holiday shopping for a lot of people in London. So how did this one store grow an entire industry? Obviously, there were many, I don't want to call them copycats, but essentially people who, did the same thing. And one of the people who did it better than anyone was Frederick August Otto Schwartz. You probably know him better by his initials, F.A.O. Schwartz. Ah, now it rings a bell? So in the 1860s, well, specifically 1862, Schwartz opened his very first toy store in New York. And he wanted to set a new standard for what it was like going to a toy store. It wasn't just about buying product. He wanted to create an experience. And that's really actually what I want to talk about today. So a quick review of F.A. Schwartz and how it was different. It wasn't just going into a store, looking on the aisles, and finding what you wanted. You could spend hours, if not days, especially if you're a child. Anyone who's seen that scene in the movie Big will remember quite fondly Tom Hanks as a grown-up child dancing around the store. There were not just aisles, but there were things to do. There were games to play and big pianos to dance on. And there were even greeters to meet you dressed up as toy soldiers. It was a true immersive experience going to this store. And again, it was one that was copied by other successful toy merchants. Things like Child's World in the 80s had their skating panda bear who would fly around the store and greet children, hopefully not spooking them out too much, seeing this giant panda bear on roller skates coming at you. But it was, again, trying to create that experience. Toys R Us, same thing. They wanted to use this business model that F.A.O. Schwartz had created of not just making a place you could go to buy something, but go to this place you could spend time. Someplace you could bring your child, and it would be a very special occasion. Not just going to the grocery store, picking things up. You were going to the toy store. And when Toys R Us was founded in the 1960s, it was done so to bring discount toys nationwide. Others followed this model, such as KB Toys, which targeted the mall store model, and other mom and pop, one-off toy stores around the country also started emulating this model of creating an experience. The idea that a toy store wasn't just a retail store. It was entertainment. It was fantasy. It was Santa's workshop. It was the place where toys lived. And a lot of people look at toy stores as very much needed to, quote unquote, save the toy industry. Fast forward to today, with fewer and fewer actual dedicated toy stores, and the place you're going to find most toys these days are at big box stores like Walmart and Target, which have aisles dedicated to toy product. And usually those aisles are divided, things like wheels, dolls, action figures, water sports, preschool, that type of thing, where each aisle is themed and all of the items hang on what's called a planogram, which is a very scientifically created system to skew toys to make the maximum amount of revenue. Things like end caps, or in this case a feature end cap that pops out into the aisle, is meant to draw you in, and it's all done scientifically because as you move around a big box store with different areas of the store, different departments for all of your weekly needs, ideally you're coming past the toy area, and whether you're getting a shut-me-up gift or a legitimate present, everything in this aisle is done just like every other item in the entire store, which is revenue per square foot, looking at how much revenue does the space that this SKU takes up. And the main reason that big box stores have toy aisles is convenience. They know you're shopping and you may need to get a gift for a friend's kid's birthday. That's the main reason people visit toy aisles. Obviously because your child's birthday or the holidays only comes once a year. But you have a friend's or a child's friend's birthday happen quite a lot. And because of this, every aisle in a big box store is designed, and this is a good thing, to have everything fit into these planograms. Everything is designed to skew in a way where lower priced items are on top, mid-price in the middle, and then the large items on the bottom, like the under the Christmas tree play sets and doll houses. This is also why you see big box stores in their toy aisles have what are called empty pegs, meaning there is a spot where there is no toy hanging. And this is because the toy aisles are designed to function exactly like every other aisle. So if you look at something like the hardware aisle, you're not going to see empty pegs of screwdrivers because one person doesn't come in and buy every screwdriver when a new case pack is opened. But for the adult collector, they might come in and buy every single figure in one shopping trip. They also may do things like return figures with the wrong character inside because, they're evil and mean, and they want the thrill of doing this because it's a horrible thing. And big box stores aren't set up to catch these things the way, say, a toy store would that might recognize that this is the incorrect character. For a big box store, their return policy has to work for everything in the whole store universally. They don't have a specific policy for toys. So that brings us back to the toy store and the experience of going to one. While big box stores are great at conveniently supplying toys for our needs, they don't have, if you will, the going to Disneyland effect. For a lot of kids, especially, when us adults watching this channel were children in the 70s and 80s, 90s, going to a toy store was like going to Disneyland. It was a special treat. You could engage with the product. Things weren't just in planograms and behind glass counters. You could actually touch it and play with it, and that was part of the experience of going to a toy store. And it's why toy stores are so important. They created beloved family and childhood memories, going there with your grandparents or your aunt and uncle, your parents, or a friend. It was an amazing childhood memory. And I know that you could say, oh, well, childhood memories change over time. There were worse times to be a child, obviously, in history. And, we didn't all have wonderful, perfect childhoods, but, we've obviously come a long way from the 1800s when your childhood memory was, working at a loom in a factory. Thank goodness that we've had progress in this world. But today we're dealing with things like, screens and iPads and streaming, and childhood memories are becoming more and more staring at a phone as opposed to experiencing a toy store. The biggest toy catalog these days is Amazon's catalog, which is showing you all the new product, but you have to go online to buy it. You don't get the experience of going into a store. So how do we kind of fix all this? Well, if you're lucky enough to have a toy store in your community. Patronize it. Go there. Be a customer. Take your child. Take your grandchild. Go there as much as possible because these stores need our support. Toy stores function in our society unlike any other retail store. They're not just a supplier of product. They are a supplier of memories. And having a store, having a retail store that can create happy memories and not just give you product is something that needs to be treasured. So go to your local toy store. Buy toys today. It's the great thing to do for kids and a great thing to do for our economy and the toy industry. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video interesting and educational. If you liked it, please do hit that subscribe button and give it a thumbs up because that tells YouTube to share it with more people. And that's the goal, is share toy knowledge. Leave your comments below. I'll always answer them all, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.